We're going to have a little look at Robyn Hitchcock. Robyn used to be in the Soft Boys, now is out on his own with his Egyptians, which really is the Soft Boys except for Kimberly Rue, who of course went off to form Katrina and the Waves. It's a little long-winded, but I think Robyn has a lot to say, so let's take a look at that right now on City Limits.
It's fine, but it's like doing a cover version, you know, of some. It's like me singing somebody else's song.
A cover version of your own song?
Well, almost. It's like me being in a cover version, you know, as if.
Yeah.
If you see what I mean.
Well, the only thing when I saw it, and I wondered how you would have related to the creative side of it, because there was the direct representation of the images in the song, which is something I figured you would avoid.
Well,
instinctively.
yeah, and well, the only thing I really had was the phone box in there. I mean, also this whole thing of I wasn't going to lip sync, but then it snowed, and so we had to do it in a film studio. Originally, I wasn't going to lip sync, and then apart from the beginning, and then we had to just do it in a studio. So I said, all right. Whereas we never lip synced. I mean, the ones we made before, I was only in them tangentially, and I wouldn't lip sync. Partly because we didn't have a Nagra, we couldn't afford to. But I like our early ones because they aren't made like pop promos.
Yeah.
Whereas Madonna is very much a pop promo, you know. And I felt very cynical about that, and I kind of regret that. I think that's a, you know, I mean, I know this is commerce as well as art, but I think you've got to keep a firm grip on the way you're presented. And otherwise you get manipulated by people into representing things that you're not, you know.
Do you find North American culture particularly absurd?
Yeah, I do find North American culture pretty absurd, but then I find English culture pretty absurd as well. And I'm not even, you know, I'm not even a third world refugee. I grew up bang in the centre, in the middle where the money is. When I was a small child, they used to put money on the table and things like that. They used to put, we had very large pound notes in those days. You might have seen them in old films. And they used to tuck one into me like a napkin there. Stop me spilling food on my jacket. And my jacket was full of little models of pound notes and half crowns and things like that. And they used to give me a dollar bill to hold when I fell asleep. Things like that. And there was a lot of money around.
From a coat of notes to a shirt of flags? Is this
well, it's the outside
ethics?
It's the outside world. Is this actually being filmed?
Oh, I think so, yes.
Oh, we are on camera. Oh. Right, okay, well, I'll strike a different pose. And now back to this interview.
Excellent pose. I have to assume that one myself occasionally.
I know, I thought I'd give you a break.
You just did.
Yeah, I know, that's it. Well, end of break.
The image Queen Elvis is this wonderful kind of mid-Atlantic royalty with a pompadour thing to me. What inspired that image for you?
The clash between Britain and America, or an attempt to merge the two, as I spend more and more time over here. It's interesting, when English people or British people turn American, they go Australian first. They sort of sound like that more and more. And a lot of people actually ask us if we're Australian. So I say no, you know, remember the Beatles, remember Lady Di, remember the Queen. But I mean, the Queen's our emblem, and Elvis is the America's emblem. And yours is maple syrup or something like that, you know. So maybe you're better off. Elvis didn't OD on maple syrup. But I mean, he looked like he might have done. Surrealism.
Yeah.
I don't think I have a taste for surrealism. I think that's just the way things are. You know, the juxtaposition of, I mean, you look at New York City or something like that. That, to me, embodies everything in surrealism, or Texas or something. Or just people wandering around in the context of nature. There's all these plants and trees and things like that. And then suddenly there's a human being wearing a red shirt in a sports car. I mean, that looks pretty daft to me, you know. You look up in the sky, there's birds, and there's this huge, great metal thing going like that. I mean, a human is the ultimate. surreal concept, I think. And the idea of surrealism be taken to mean the juxtaposition of inappropriate images, right? I mean, that's what's happening all the time. People in Madison Avenue sitting there saying, you know, I'm starving, and someone else walking by thinking I'm not. Same in London.
But the thing is, you know, we tend to sort them out through the whole learning process, the cognitive process, and make it all completely real and normal, and yet you seem to have not sorted them out. You seem to just present them in a,
oh, I try
like
not
a great
to sort them out.
splash.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a rationalist, and I'm an outraged rationalist. I think everything's totally unreasonable. I mean, far from being a champion of the absurd, I think I'm really quite logical. I'm assuming, of course, you're familiar with my work, dear viewers.
The spirit started long ago. They found somewhere they couldn't go. They spent their time just looking out for those who never share it out.
But it's simply a matter of showing things up as I perceive them to be. You know, I'm fed garbage, and that's what I put back out again, I think.
Is there a certain amount of anger in your work as well?
No, not anymore. A sort of indifference, really. I mean, but I think I always was, really. I think you are what you expect. Like, I don't think Lou Reed's really changed at all. He's still singing about, you know, the catalogue of human evils like he was in Heroin. You know. I mean, perhaps now he wants to deal with them rather than escape from them, but he's still drawn to those. His eye would always be drawn to the sick. And if you like, my eye will always be drawn to the absurd. So there we are. What do you think, Lou?
I don't know. I'd have to have a seance and ask one of them.
What would you call your obsessions?
I don't know. What would you call my obsessions?
Decay? Small animals? Fish?
Let's link those together. Small animals,
Religious
fish,
symbolism?
Yeah.
You know, take your pick. That's one man's obsession.
Well, yeah, I suppose so, because I'm not interested in sport, or economics, or mathematics, or politics, except in manipulating as much as I need to manipulate people to stop them actually confronting me. Yeah, that's political. And get people to do things for me. Like, we've now got this great big road crew and things like that. But sometimes you fall foul of it, you know.
Do you enjoy that aspect of making music?
No, I'm not really.
Is this a
Very
tour
little,
of duty?
Very little. Yeah, this one is. Yeah, this is very much a tour of duty. Yeah. I felt when we made the record that it would need some help, and I was right. It does need some help. You know, it's just not an instant record for people. So really, we've just been around all over the place to help. It's like a shy child, you know. You have to introduce it to people. You have to coax it out of its corner and say, "Come and say hello to Mr. and Mrs. Webster, Bruce," you know, and all the rest of it.
And sing Yellow Bird.
And sing Yellow Bird, and that's what our latest child is, you know. And we're getting it out there to sing Yellow Bird. Vividly, I hope.
She snuffs you out like silk. You've got heaven.
I did 10 years ago, I just can't be bothered to sing anymore. You know. So much for the idea that they might be kind of enduring, like Keats or Shakespeare or something. But I mean, Keats and Shakespeare aren't going to last forever, I very much doubt. Unless they're encoded in a kind of DNA molecule, and you're going to get, this is Antony and Cleopatra going out throughout the entire universe, sort of as part of your molecular structure. Or if they name a galaxy after Shakespeare. Otherwise, you have to accept that this stuff goes. You know.
Well, I would put Madonna of the Wasps in my time capsule.
Oh, that's really sweet of you, Christopher. You're the kind of person I could give a bribe to.
Madonna.
Did you gain your love for storytelling from your father?
No, I think that just I like stories. I mean, I don't really tell stories because I can't keep to the point. Everything just keeps breaking off and tapering off, you know. I mean, my father's quite quite a linear... Well, he more or less keeps to the point. He has trouble with his plots sometimes, but you know, I mean, I couldn't write a 300-page book about anything except spirals. And it just goes, you know, we're set up, bang, suddenly we're off again. I suppose I have what is it we have, a 7-second attention span? I know that they don't make anything in American telly now that's more than 7 seconds. I mean, the shot is held for more than 7 seconds. So, I mean, if you show more than 7 seconds of this particular thing, and it's picked up by an American citizen, it will have a very severe neurological impact on them, and they're liable to become contorted.
And that's better.
Ask you one final question. The telephone image on the cover of the album continues on stage.
Yeah, and it's in that video, the Madonna video.
Mm-hmm. Is that a favorite image of yours?
Oh, very much. I mean, there's nothing to beat a good red English phone box under a chestnut tree at sort of 8:30 on a cloudy May evening as it's about to rain. And there's the phone box glowing and the fresh red paint on the outside and the fresh green leaves and the lowering grey sky, and it's a perfect moment. So, of course, the British Telecom has just gone around pulling up all these bloody boxes and selling them to California or something like that. I mean, they're destroying their national heritage as only the British can.
And America is buying it up as only they can.
Well, thank God, America values things like that, you know. And to me, that is an emblem a total emblem of Britain, the phone box. And I tend to think of it as my mother. You know. I come in and out of the phone box on stage, and to me that's like coming in and out of my mum, which I can't do on stage, you know, sadly, because I wouldn't fit in anymore. And so it's a good Freudian, homely image. And plus now when I'm not doing sometimes doing interviews, I spend most of my time on the phone now. Most of my relationships are conducted by telephone. You know, I don't really think of relationships as taking place in the garden or in the bedroom or anything like that. They take place on the telephone.
How sad.
Everything takes place on the telephone. I wouldn't know why or what I was doing anything, and I'd have no ideas. You know. So I thought, let's pay tribute to this. And I mean, after this album, I may not do anything anymore except make phone calls. And if it works well, I'll just issue an album of good phone calls. You know.
A couple of guitar tracks and away we go.
I don't know. Anyway, it's all true, Christopher, and you heard it first, except for the bits where I've said it before. So, back to Christopher on It. Here it comes now, sagging dangerously, over and out.